It wouldn't be Christmas without a beautiful centerpiece, so today we're making a traditional porchetta ready for you this Christmas. So what we need is a full pork loin. You can also go just like a boneless small piece of loin. So essentially the difference between a porchetta and a boneless rolled loin is really not much. A traditional porchetta is just the loin with the belly, which has been rolled with a specific traditional seasoning or a stuffing. The difference between that and a pork loin is exactly the same. It just doesn't have the stuffing or the seasoning on the inside, and it's rolled up. So essentially they're both the same cut without being the same, really. So you can do a porchetta, you can do a rolled loin. Really, they're basically the same thing. So today we're not going to do a stuffing because at Christmas time I do quite a number of them and everyone brings in their own stuffing and they're all completely different. So find one that you like, roll it in, and voila, porchetta. So what we need to do is bone out this pork loin. Backside facing up, and we're going to come straight down the middle. All the way down, and a nice long straight cut while I'm pulling away. All the way down. Let me get back over the other way. And we want all the weight of the belly to be on the outside, holding it open, right? So the easiest way that I find to bone out a loin is to, one, mark down the inside here, which is the fillet. Coming in, and we want to take this one out. Next, we want to mark down the inside of the loin. So we've got a couple of different sections here in the middle of pork, or the barrel of pork. We've got the loin, which is essentially where the fillet ends. This part here, like your mid-loin chop. We've got the rack and the belly, or the cutlets and the belly. So come up underneath the loin, and then we want to start all the way at the top here on the ribs. We're going to loosen all that first, cutting straight through the joint. You can almost see in this section here, this more of a white or semi-gloss at the end of the rib. That's where they join. So coming in and marking right up, almost on the middle here, we're going to cut across the end of all the ribs. Firm press down, and you're going to hear it crack. So all those ribs are now out of the joint, and we're going to just mark our way around as it slowly starts to release, just so that we've got a nice clean break. After each run of the blade along there, we're going to just push down on the belly, and I'm pulling this side over so that the weight of the loin is pulling away as I'm releasing it. Remember, we want gravity to help us. The less strenuous this is, the better. And it's just starting to open up now. So once we got our loin semi-boneless, we still have all the ribs here. We want to take those ones out. So coming down the inside of your belly skirt, take that one out. That's all for trim. Then we have this flare fat in the middle here. Grabbing the corner and just peeling it all away. But don't throw it away because that's really beautiful fat. Turning it around, and we want to open up over the ribs. We've got this small, to expose this small, soft white cartilage off the ribs, just to there. Now coming in underneath the ribs, long strokes while I'm pulling it away. Now again, I'm lifting and letting the meat come away from the bone as I'm cutting away. So essentially what we've done is just lifted the rack of ribs out. So you can come down the cartilage here, just cut straight through that, and we've got a beautiful rack of baby back or Louisiana style pork ribs. So we'll keep those ones to the side. So essentially this piece that we're left with is a boneless loin with the belly attached, AKA porchetta. But for today's presentation, we don't need the whole thing. We're only going to use just a small portion of it. We're going to cut this one in half. Now with this section here, do a test run. So we want to roll it all the way up, and we can see that we're going to have a little bit of an excess overhang with the belly, but we want the belly to be left in there. But we don't want the rind in there. So we need to make it so that the belly gets tucked in with that rind taken off, but leaving all the external rind on the outside. What exactly do I mean? It's better if I show you. So take off the fatty part of the belly on the outside so we can roll it back in. Remember, all the trimmings are going to go into our trim or our sausage or something like that. So rolling it up, and we can see here that the end of the belly is about there. So we just want to make a light score, and this part of the rind is going to come off. Nice and flat. With your knife underneath, we just want to skim the surface because we want to leave all that fat on. Holding it nice and tight, we're just going to shave off that excess bit of the rind. Trim away any thick excess fat. And now this is the part where we would put all our stuffings in. We can butterfly the loin out. We can crisscross and score it and put all our seasonings and stuffing mixes in here. But like I said, everybody's different, so we don't need to do that for the purpose of today. So roll the belly back in, all the way up, and that's essentially the shape that we're going for. Nice round. We have that crackle all the way on the outside, and it's going to sit nice and flat. And when it comes to carving, it's perfectly even. So what I have here are metal skewers. You can do these with some thick wooden skewers, or you can even do these with chopsticks. So what these are going to do is just hold everything into place while we're rolling it up. How do we do that? So get the shape first, and you want to space them evenly apart. Coming at the top, so it's gone through at the top of the belly, and I'm essentially grabbing on to the loin and coming down. Down the other end, exactly the same, coming up the top of the belly, grabbing onto the loin and down. So coming in to the top of the belly, grabbing onto the loin and coming down. So you can see what that's doing is just pulling everything together and pulling that rind so it meets in the middle. So our basic knot again, once we've got all our shape, we're going to start at the end, making sure that that string is nice and even, both sides, by wiggling it back and forwards. Start at one end, basic butcher's knot, nice and tight. And then from there, to keep it even, we're going to go down the other end. And then we're gonna go backwards and forwards, working our way all together until we meet up in the middle. So there is a couple of different ways we can do this. You can either stitch it or sew it, but not everybody has a stitcher, not everybody has a needle. So for today, this is something that you can do at home. We're just rolling it all together. So once it's all strung and trussed, we can remove the skewers, and if done correctly, everything should still be in place. Should be nice and round and the right shape, and it looks pretty good. We're gonna square up the ends just for presentation. You don't have to do this part. You know, if you're just doing it at home, you can just put it in just like that. But for presentation factor, we're just gonna neaten it up a little bit. And have a look at that, absolutely beautiful. So we've got a nice round shape. You can see in the middle here, at the bottom, we pulled the belly and the loin together. So we've got our knots on that seam, and it's gonna cook up absolutely awesome. So we've got the crackle all the way around. So you can do this next step beforehand, or you can do it afterwards. We're just gonna lightly score all the way around. If you're at home and you don't have a super sharp knife, you can use a Stanley knife. Just making long, small slits just through the rind. We don't want to cut too deep into the fat, and we definitely don't want to cut into the meat. And that's a porchetta. So that one's ready to go onto the spit or into the oven. There's a million different ways on how to cook this one. So pull up another video and find the best method, whichever works. There's a whole plethora out there for you to pick and choose from. But that's a porchetta. I hope you liked the video. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Let me know what else you'd like to see.